right, so we've seen Jimmy with Joel Embiid. Forget about the Maxey part. We've seen Jimmy Butler with Joel Embiid, so we know what that looks like. Even it translates the same, even this late in their careers now, after 5-6 years apart. But as you say that, what does that look like, though, potentially for Paul George? Because, as we always talk about, he hasn't played with someone like Joel Embiid. Roy Hibbert is not that.
Yeah.
Neither is whoever was in OKC.
Steven Adams.
They brought
Steven
Roy
Adams.
Hibbert in here so Joel Embiid could throw him around for a couple of years
Correct.
as a coach.
And yeah, he turned him into a coach, right? And then you, of course, go to Zubac in LA. This is a little bit different. So getting those spots, how different might that look in favor of the Sixers because George would be with Joel Embiid?
Yeah, look, it would be very different. And look, Harden's a great passer too. He's great at creating shots and catch and shoot shots for someone like Paul George. It's not like he was in a bad spot, but certainly Joel Embiid has as much gravity as just about anyone in the league. And how can you leverage that? I think Paul George can leverage that gravity better than Jimmy Butler can. I do think Jimmy Butler would be interesting, coming off of not DHOs, because Jimmy pretty famously does not like DHOs, but pick and rolls with Joel Embiid. Like, how can they
Does
grow?
he not like them at all, or did he not like the frequency with which the Sixers ran
I
them?
was told he does not like DHOs.
Okay.
Get him back into pick and rolls, which is weird because they're pretty much the same action, but just a little differently initiated.
whatever.
Doesn't matter. We don't need to get into that. That was 5 years ago of conversation. But like, I do think, especially with the way Joel Embiid has developed and the way that shot has come along,
Sure.
I do think like that would create some great space for Jimmy, and he would figure out ways to slither his way in there and either get the free throw line or get kickouts or what have you. So I think both of them can benefit. But Paul George, like we've been saying the entire time, it's probably the more seamless fit, and the pathway to getting him open shots is a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, and look, so much of our conversation today has been focused on the playoffs, but you do have to win games in the regular season. And while there's less of an onboarding process for Jimmy,
Yes.
because of that previous play and connection with Joel, the cleaner fit with Paul George probably lends itself to, assuming they're both roughly the same health-wise, like let's say you're getting 60 games out of either guy, I think you probably win more regular season games with Paul George because he's just the simple, this allows Joel to be regular season Joel, opens up the floor. There's not the month of Jimmy Butler just like not trying, which you have to go into every regular season expecting, especially. So what's the month? Do you remember what was the bad month for Jimmy
March?
when he was here? Was it March?
Yeah.
You just have to expect he's going to go through a month of the season where he just very visibly doesn't care. He's getting back cut on. He's not shooting open catch and shoot threes. And we'll debate with people like, why isn't he taking these? He needs to do this. And then he'll wake up on April 17th or whatever.
Shoot 4
it is,
threes a
and
game, which isn't enough, but or isn't as much as you'd want, but it's enough to be effective.
So I do think that part leans toward Paul George, that Paul George in the regular season to put them in an advantageous position with seeding and all that, you probably lean toward him. The health is just a giant variable for both guys. It's part of why anyway they're available.
We all silly like the mayor.